How do you go about finding your purpose? Maybe you feel like you're just existing, you're just taking it day by day. I know I used to experience that. Sometimes you're not even making decisions that you want for your life, you're more so making decisions to please other people. I've definitely done that. Um, Sometimes you're afraid to speak up for yourself, or you're afraid to stand up for yourself because you don't want to make other people mad. I've been like that too. And let me tell you this, when I was living like that, just existing, not having a plan, being a people pleaser, not sticking up for myself, that's when I was the most miserable in my life. I can't make this up, you guys. My 20s was a dark place. It's crazy because I would feel like in your 20s you're more you're at your just full of energy, and you're the most happiest because you're still figuring out life, right? You don't have too many responsibilities yet. But in my early and mid 20s, that's when things were just like the darkest for me. I'm 35 now, by the way. I've done a lot of self reflecting, I've done a lot of self development, and just reflecting back on my life, it was in my 20s, early to mid 20s, where I was doing those things I just described. I didn't really have purpose. I was just living it day by day. Okay. I was definitely hanging around the wrong groups of people. I was still on a productive path, per se. Like, I went to college, I got a bachelor's degree, I got a decent paying job. So, my life wasn't bad, but internally, like how I felt emotionally and spiritually, it wasn't good. I was extremely overweight after I graduated college. I started drinking heavily. I was definitely an alcoholic in my 20s. And I think a lot of it just had to do with the fact that I didn't have purpose. I didn't really know what I was walking towards. And I think too, I was still in an era of my life where I wanted to make other people happy. I wanted to make sure that I was doing the things to make my family proud of me, even if it really wasn't something that I wanted to do. I hated my 9 to 5, but I stayed because my mom was so proud of me for getting that job. My grandma was so proud of me for getting that job. And I just didn't want to let them down, right? So I would stay. And I was miserable there. I was miserable more so for the fact that I didn't like management. It was very toxic for me. And honestly, working in a lab just wasn't something that I wanted to do. you know, it's like when you have a job where you don't like the people and you don't like what you actually do, it can be unbearable, right? And it was just dark. And to cope with how miserable I was there, I would drink, I would overeat, and I just didn't have purpose. That changed for me when I quit my job. I quit my job during COVID and started my online business. And I've developed so much over these past 6 years. I went to counseling, I healed myself, I worked through things that I didn't even realize I was dealing with. I started to learn that it's okay to tell people no. It's okay if everyone doesn't agree with the decisions that you make as long as you agree with them. It's okay to tell people no and to stand up for yourself when you don't feel as if someone's treating you properly. And if they refuse to change how they treat you, it's okay to walk away and not feel guilty about it. These were things that I didn't know. And I also took a lot of time to find me. What is Jasmine like, right? Like what things make Jasmine happy? If Jasmine could live the perfect life, what would that look like? Not what do her family want her life to look like? What does she want her life to look like? Right? And now every day, literally every day, I make sure that I walk towards that goal. I think a lot of times at least for myself, I can only speak for myself, but I do think that a lot of times we get lost on our path because we intertwine ourselves with people who aren't really going in the same direction as us. We become distracted, right? We have vices. So for me, my vices was alcohol and food for sure, and marijuana in my early 20s. I think some people's vice is social media. I definitely struggled with that too in my early 30s. And if you're not careful, those vices will steal you from your purpose, because the time that you're spending doing the vice, whatever that is time that you could be creating and building the life that you want and walking in your purpose. But since I changed all of that, I've developed so much more peace and clarity. I never knew how beautiful peace was before, because I never had it until I became peaceful. Okay. Getting up and doing the same thing every day brings me peace. And I know to some people it sounds boring. If I was to say this to my younger self, I would probably think it was boring too. Having structure is so peaceful. Every single day, it's not a mystery, right? I don't know. It's not that I don't know what's going on. I know exactly what's going on every single day, right? I wake up at the same time. I go to the bed at the same time. I go to the same gym. I walk the same amount of steps. I work on the same business. I may change things up, like what kind of foods I eat for the day, but for the most part, like, it's structured and it's the same and it's peaceful and it gives me purpose. Every day I'm waking up and doing the very thing that's going to create that dream life that I want for myself. And living like that, I no longer feel the need to drink, right? I haven't had a drink in 5 years. I no longer feel the need to binge eat. I feel really good about myself for the first time in my entire life. I no longer feel the need to people please. I no longer feel the need to care what other people think of me. I know how to stand up for myself now, which is something I didn't know how to do before. And I think all of those changes that I made really stem from determining what it is I want for my life and then making the conscious decision every single day to walk towards that, walking in my purpose. And it's unfortunate because I don't think most people choose to walk in their purpose. I think a lot of people are just existing and they don't even realize how toxic that is for you. Because I believe that everybody has something that they want. Okay, everybody has a dream life, right? And it doesn't have to be anything super extravagant or luxurious. It could just be spending more time with your kids, or taking one vacation a year. Maybe you want to go to Disney World. You've never been to Disney World. Like, it could be anything. It doesn't have to be, oh, my dream life, I'm making 50 million a year and I'm traveling on yachts and going to Dubai. It doesn't have to be that. But the problem is, a lot of times we condition ourselves, or we allow our environment to condition ourselves and make us believe that it's not achievable. And so then therefore, it's something that you wish for, but you're not actively walking towards. And so if you're not walking towards your purpose, you're probably just walking towards things that don't make you any better, like the vices that you carry with you every single day. And if you're not intentional, you will find yourself in that path, that loop of wanting to do something. You might start for a day, but then you give up on it, and you go back to your old routine, and it's just this cycle that never ends. And over the years, nothing changes but your age, and you're just existing through life. I encourage you to first determine, what would your dream life look like for you? And don't sit here and say, oh, it's not, it's impossible. No, it's not. That's something else. Your mindset plays a huge role in the quality of life that you live. And I didn't always realize that either. I used to hear people say that, and I'd be like, what? My mindset? Really, girl? And I roll my eyes and be like, ugh. But it's true. It really is true. It really is a mindset shift. And once you can accept the fact that, and acknowledge the fact that you truly can live whatever kind of life you want, well, then that's when things change, because now you see things as achievable. Maybe before you didn't, but because you shifted your mindset and you recognize that you could have these things if you intentionally work towards them, well, then that's going to change your perspective on life. And now every single day, you're going to wake up doing the thing that's getting you closer to your goal, whatever that is. And now you're walking in your purpose, and you will gain so much peace from that. You will truly become your happiest self because you're no longer living just to live. You're no longer existing. You're taking control of your life and doing something about it. You're removing yourself from environments that no longer serve you. You're letting go of distractions, eliminating the vices that are keeping you stuck, right? You guys, when I was drinking every day, it never solved my problem. One thing I noticed reflecting back on it, it just intensified whatever mood I was already in. And back then, I was always in a negative mood. I was either depressed, frustrated, anxious, stressed. So all alcohol did, and I was getting drunk, okay? And all alcohol did was intensify that emotion. So if I was already depressed before I started drinking, well, I was even more depressed while I was drunk. If I was already angry before I started drinking, well, I was just more angry while I was drunk. If I was already stressed before I started drinking, I was just more stressed after I got drunk. But by the time the alcohol wears off, I'm literally back at square one, feeling miserable. It didn't do anything for me, but I was so lost in that cycle that I didn't realize that. I really used to believe that alcohol was helping me with my problems. It wasn't helping me do anything. It was just keeping me stuck. But now that I've removed myself from that and I've self-reflected, I've done the inner work, all of the things, I realized that it was literally just me wasting my time. A lot of the distractions that we have are just the biggest ways to waste time. And I think as I've gotten older, I realized that you don't have as much time as you think you do. And the unfortunate truth is you don't really know when your last day will be. I know it's scary to think about, right? It's kind of morbid, but you have to accept that. And then once you truly accept that, well, then now every single day, for the days that you are blessed with, you're going to make sure that you're doing things that move you closer to the goals that you want for your life and for your family. You're going to stop wasting so much time on people who don't care about you. You're just going to start being more intentional with the time that you're blessed with. And I think that once you do that, for those of you guys who do feel like you're just existing, like you don't really know which way to go, maybe you're not happy with the direction that your life is going in, I really do believe that if you just live every single day like it's your last, and you just are more intentional with the time that you have, you do the things that bring you joy, that move you closer to your goal in life, it really will bring you peace. I really do believe that. Leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. I can't wait to read what you have to say. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And do not forget to join my Patreon. The link is down below in my description. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.